Here is every GAN cube you can currently buy, and my goal is simple. I'm gonna unbox each of these cubes from scratch so that you can see everything that comes with each box and know exactly what you're gonna get if you buy it. And 20. It's no secret that compared to other brands, GAN cubes are expensive, but they're always popular. I mean, look at every review on Daily Puzzles. 5 stars, 5 stars, 5 stars. But are these cubes actually worth it? Well, that's what this video is all about. This is crazy. The total value of what you're seeing here is over $1,000 Australian. Although in this video, I'm gonna be using US currency because it's the most useful internationally. Also, FYI for ease, I'm gonna be rounding off, so I'm gonna be saying $37 instead of $36.99. Now, how am I gonna go through all these cubes? Answer chronologically by date of release. GAN of course released way more cubes than these, but these are the ones you can currently buy. And at the end, I'm gonna recommend to you which I think is the best premium GAN cube, which is the best mid-range, and which is the best budget cube. Feel free to use the chapter markers down here to skip to the relevant cube, but if you want the full story and background of every cube, then buckle in for the most thorough ride ever, every GAN cube you can currently buy. Let's travel all the way back to 2018 when GAN released the 356 Air SM. This was the 4th year of GAN producing cubes, and the Air SM was the latest in GAN's long line of 356 cubes, 3 for 3x3s and 56 for the width of this cube. This cube was 56 millimeters wide. Look at all these wonderful cards that come with each cube. We're gonna collect a lot of these. I wonder how many of these credit cards we're gonna have by the end of this video. I'll make a little collection right here. Now, GAN is a premium brand, a luxury brand even, and so I suspect we're gonna see a lot of these cube bags today. Mr. Gan himself is a cuber, and so he says he knows what cubers want. Chinese instructions. Oh wait, no, they have it in English as well. So this is a 5-year-old cube we're looking at here. Why am I still opening it? Well, the Air SM is such a significant cube. Felix Zemdex broke a bunch of world records with this one. Most famously, his 4.73 second solve. Oh, it's a thing of beauty. Oh, I forgot to mention, SM stands for Super Speed Magneto. I'm not even kidding. GAN doesn't make cubes like these anymore. Now, I say that nostalgically because the cubes that have since come out are better, but I believe this is the only stickered cube you're gonna see in the entire collection. Of 20 cubes, I think this is the only stickered one. Now, what was so amazing about the GAN Air SM? Well, for starters, it was smooth and it took a lot of cubers by surprise. Like if you look at reviews back in the day when this cube first came out, people were going on about having to adjust their turning style because it was just so smooth. People just weren't used to that. Having been spoiled with modern cubes, this doesn't stand out as much to me, but you have to appreciate how significant this cube was back in the day. It was also pretty light, coming in at 76 grams. For the record, the average Rubik's brand cube clocks in at a bit over 100 grams. And this guy, the SM, along with its sister cube, the UM, which we don't have here, was the first GAN cube to have magnets standard. It's something we totally take for granted today, but this. Little magnets in every piece that you didn't have to install by yourself. And that means that as you turn it around, it will just lock into place, just like that. It is also worth looking at the internals, even if only to track how they're going to change through the years. See that nice metal core in the middle and how the pieces just glide over each other. It's really incredible. GAN has always prided themselves on innovation, and you can see that in every single cube. Now if you're wondering what these are, because we haven't seen these for quite a while, these are proprietary technology, GES for the GAN elasticity system. 3 additional sets of GS nuts. That's right. Oh, I nearly forgot about this guy. This is the plastic adjustment tool. And so if you pop open any center cap, right there, look at that. So by default, the green nuts are currently in, and each of the other colors have essentially a different spring compression. Let's see the spring right there. And what that means is that if you swap the greens out for the blues or the yellows, the cube's gonna feel different as you turn it. It's just gonna feel that little bit tighter or looser, and so you can customize it to your turning style. And this plastic adjustment tool is basically what you use to get it in and out of place. The Air SM was honestly an incredible cube. Really popular for its time, but there's one thing we haven't talked about yet, and that was its price. The GAN Air SM clocked in at $50 US. I know, it's almost as if GAN was trying to see just how high they could go, where customers would still be willing to pay, and it turns out they were willing to pay $50. I will say, if you can actually pick one of these guys up today, that'll be pretty impressive because they are actually quite hard to find. So yes, you can still get it, but I mean, this cube is over 5 years old now. And the only reason you'd buy it today is if you want a piece of history, or if you really like the stickers. But honestly, I just want to include it so that we could see just how far things have come. Fast forward to October 2019 and GAN released the XS, which stands for XS. As said before, the SM is currently hard to find, but the XS, it's probably the oldest GAN cube that's still currently for sale, probably because of its enduring quality. Sad baby, love it. I mean, this thing's 4 years old now. Like, it came out before Disney Plus came out. But it was a super popular cube. Ooh, another credit card. Okay, they're not actually credit cards, but you know, that's 2 in my collection. But yeah, this cube would dominate the market for a good year or so. Even today, I go to competitions where people use GAN XSs, and they're happy with it. So there we go. A nice velvet bag again. Different color from the one before, very nice. Actually, does it fit the box? Ooh, it does. Nice, real nice, mate. Ooh, look at this, a brand new adjustment tool. This looks curious, we'll unpack that later. And that's it, in the box. I mean, your customary instructions in English and Chinese, of course. But hey, where are those GES nuts? Well, the GAN XS packed in a secret sauce, which you will see soon. Oh, black internals. Sorry, I don't see very many cubes, GAN cubes these days with like black internals. It's normally sort of more like primary colors. So, okay, for starters, this is noticeably lighter than the SM. This clocks in at 67 grams, nearly 10 grams lighter, and that's because this guy has a very different core. Look at that. So apparently this new reinforced plastic core allowed them to take like 10 grams off its weight, putting the XS weight-wise in a very similar league to GAN cubes that are being released in 2023. And the reason why this didn't need to come with additional nuts is because of this. For the first time, with this new adjustment system that GAN invented, you can now change settings using the same nut, just using this tool. Hear how it clicks back and forth? So you can get that spring inside to be more or less compressed. And if I zoom in a bit more, you can also see numbers on that blue hexagon in the middle. So that tool previously was adjusting that clear hexagon in the back, but you can by hand adjust that blue one to point to different numbers to get even more customization of elasticity settings. And that's not all. I feel like I'm selling a product. Look at these 4 corners. So the magnets are now visible, which is really, really cool. But check this out. It's currently in that middle setting and I can click it just like that. So it's now further inside. And because this magnet now doesn't align as much with the corner magnet on top, it's a weaker magnet setting to the strongest magnet setting. Yeah, 3 magnet settings here with 6 different elasticities and 4 levels of GS settings, which if you times it together, according to GAN, is 72 different configurations. Welcome to the brave world of GAN giving you a bazillion ways that you can customize your cube. And did it work? Yeah, these cubes were really, really popular. This was very much still the era of Felix, and he actually used the GAN XS to break a stack of world records as well, including his last 2 world record averages for 3x3, one of which I got to witness, which was really cool. That was his 559 average, I believe. And can I say, by the way, how significant it is that we can do a lot of these setting changes by hand? Because as you'll see later in this video, as GAN cubes evolved, it started to be that you could only make these adjustments using tools. The old familiar feel of the XS. Man, I really love this cube when it came out as well. It feels pretty cool. But the question, of course, is, should you buy a 4-year-old GAN cube? Well, I'm gonna say that comes down very much to the price, which at $40, less than what it was when it first came out. I'm just not sure if it's totally worth it. As we'll continue to see in the video, there are a lot of other cubes that have come out since that are 40 and under, granted perhaps less customizability, but with more years of improved research. The XS was a groundbreaking cube when it came out, but there is more to come. Oh, I forgot to mention, these blue things aren't just like part of the grip, they're actually part of that elasticity system, so you can replace the light blue ones with these dark blue ones for more configurations. We fast forward to 2020, where the world was just starting to hear about this thing called coronavirus, and GAN decides in January to release the RS. It wasn't the only version 2 they released. In February, they would release the version 2
of the 356X, and then also that same month they would release version 2 of the 354M. So let's take a look at these 3 version 2s that came out in 2020. So for starters, one cube's obviously a lot less premium than the others, and that is the RS. The RS, you are a strange cube. Came out, like I said, 2020, and yet even in 2023, this cube still sells really well. And the mystery continues. Look, there's no credit card. So that's not included. Let's see what else comes in this completely paper box. It comes with this. That's it. So the RS comes with a cube and literally nothing else. So those are those beautiful black internals, not stickered of course, that wonderful GAN logo. But do you notice anything weird about it? Look at it from the top. It's not flat. Well, I mean, like, you can make it flat, but this thing, it's so hard to hold it stably because it doesn't have magnets. It is the most bare bones GAN cube you can possibly get, the RS, and that's why people are getting it. That's why it's still so popular. This guy clocks in at $17 US. $17, and still sells like hotcakes. Now, that's not to say that it's a bad cube. Under the hood, we still have a set of GAN's GES nut system, so you can still, I believe, turn that by hand. Yes, you can. There you go. And I mean, internally, you're still gonna have that honeycomb track design, and that's just gonna keep the cube turning smoothly. Look, it feels exactly like a GAN cube, just without magnets. It's also relatively light, coming in at 72 grams. And I will say for the record that you can magnetize it. So a lot of people will actually buy this, 17 bucks. They'll open up every single piece and they will insert magnets in, they'll glue them in, put it all back together again, and then voila, you've got yourself a 356 that's magnetized. The question, of course, is it worth it? Look at that. It just like falls to the ground like this. So yes, because of the price, but honestly, if you're looking at this ballpark figure at this price range, you're gonna find really, really nice magnetized cubes in other brands. If you're going GAN, I mean, you're going big or going home, right? You're looking for premium stuff. So yeah, if you're a DIY person, go ahead, do magnetize it yourself. I don't know if it makes sense in 2023 to be getting a non-magnetized GAN cube. The cubes continue. So February 2020, man, we were so innocent then. Do you know on the 1st of February in 2020, the US recorded their 8th case of COVID. 8th, like single digits. So this beautiful cube, oh, we got a card. Yes, automatically this is worth buying. So this is version 2 of the very, very famous 356X. The reason why I don't have the X here is because you can no longer buy it, the original version, but you can still buy V2. So what was so special about V2? Well, V2 came with a mat as usual, our customary instructions. You're going to recognize this from the XS. So that's our tensioning tool, like we saw before, that beautiful trident. And this, okay, this was there in the X as well. This was what made the 356X so famous. Are there like two? There are 2 layers. This is so crazy. It looks like a pineapple slice. Yo, I haven't seen that for so long. That's so wild. So the improvements in version 2 of the X, oh, that's a heavier cube. You can just tell right away. Is twofold, a complete upgrade to the GES system. So this is now going to sport the exact internal GES system as the GAN XS. So just like with the XS, we're going to be using this tool to make adjustments like that, back and forth. And then using just your fingers, you can adjust that blue hexagon in the middle. And you also have an extra set of these dark blue to light blue internals that you can swap around as well. So that's one change that version 2 of the 356X has. But the second improvement is that they went from a metal core to, oh, I can't see it. Yeah, there it is. That plastic core right there. So that's what's gonna give this guy some, a bit of a weight loss. This thing clocks in at 80 grams. And I don't want to cube shame or anything, but of all the cubes, all the 20 cubes that we're gonna be unboxing and studying in this video, this is the heaviest. But why was it such a big deal? Well, check this out. Look at that. So really nice visible magnets that you can see there. However, how do you adjust them? Like there's no clicky thing. That's where these come in. So if I take this purple guy out, so check this out. you push the existing magnet capsule out. There it is. You've swapped it for the green ones. It's very convenient that there's a different color so that you know which ones you put in. But yeah, that feels stronger. I'm gonna have to look at the instructions. Is it in this? Oh, yes, nice. Yes, English. Oh no, it's weaker. Fail. Okay, so green's actually a weaker magnet. And then I believe they even gave an entire set with no magnets. Yeah, this clear one here has no magnets at all, which personally makes 0 sense that you would include these magnet capsules with nothing in them. Like, I mean, could you just take out the existing ones and then there's just nothing in there? Why isn't it going back? Oh, it just goes in that way. I knew that. So, was this cube any good? Short answer, yeah. This was one of Max Park's, really loved cubes when he used GAN cubes. He set a bunch of national records with it in 2020. And I mean, it's version 2 of the really popular X, which came out in 2018. This guy was really groundbreaking for its corner cutting. Yeah, really, really nice corner cutting. Now, this actually is very, very loose, so that could be why it's sort of corner cutting so easily. If I tightened the springs to a level that I'd be happier to use, performance might be a little bit different. But this thing apparently, according to GAN, could do 55-degree corner cutting, 30-degree reverse corner cutting, which is very impressive. And in fact, I've got an entire video on version 2 of the 356X that you can check out in the video description. So the question is, would you still buy this in 2023? I think there is one reason, and probably one reason only, why you'd get this guy in 2023, and it is its price. This guy comes in at 30 bucks. Remember, these are all current prices at the Daily Puzzles store, and it doesn't include extra discounts that you might be able to get, for example, using my discount code. Apart from that, I don't think it makes any sense to get this cube. Should I stick it on while it's unsolved? It's very unsatisfying to see an unsolved cube, but hey, this thing's not even on perfectly as well. I'm just gonna trigger everyone who hates irregularity. So that's my verdict with the version 2 of 356X. I think they're trying to breathe new life into a fairly old cube, and even if it works back in 2020, not in 2023. Although, dude, if you bought it just for these magnet capsules, I wouldn't even be mad. And that leaves us with our third version 2 of the year. Coming out also in February 2020 was version 2 of the very, very popular GAN356 M. So M for magnetic, but 54 for a mini cube. I want to confess, when this cube first came out, I loved it. I loved it so much. No credit card. Boo! I really, really adored it because, yeah, I remember Dana Yee from America using this cube and saying it was just the best thing. It just fit her, hand size, and OH, one-handed turning so well. She just adored it. But this is what you're gonna get with the 356M version 2. You're gonna get this nice velvety bag that we've now seen for the last few puzzles. You're gonna get your customary GAN thingamabob, and that's it. So not very much with the 356M because a few months later, GAN would re-release this cube, version 2 of version 2, but with a whole set of nuts. I don't know how popular that one was, and I haven't seen that one for sale. So we're gonna look at the first version of the second version. Man, that's so confusing to say. How do you open it? Oh, there it is. So despite it being smaller, I'm not actually feeling a significant difference in weight, and it's because this guy clocks in at 77 grams. You'd think that you'd be able to shave off a little bit of weight, but no. Oh, it feels great though. That feels real. Honestly, it actually feels a lot like the 356X. These cubes that came out in 2020 all have a very characteristic feel, which modern day GAN cubes don't really have anymore. Let's have a look inside. So despite it not coming with extra GES nuts, I believe it should still have, yeah, there we go. Ooh, purple ones. That's so pretty. Look, it's purple. So you can see the different settings over there. 0.6 and 0.8 for our spring compression values, and honestly just 2 millimeters smaller than the regular 356. You see that, look, it's barely any difference, right, when you put it side by side, but it is enough. You only have to cube for a little while and you can just tell this is a smaller cube. It is so much more friendly for one-handed turning, and everything was pointing to this being a very, very successful cube. Arguably it was, however, it's pretty much disappeared. It's vanished off the face of this earth. You just don't see people using it very much anymore. Why is that? Well, it's based on fairly old tech, and it turns out maybe GAN knew that because a much better, smaller version of this cube would get released later the following year. Although, of course, that one's more expensive. Well, you can get this guy right now for $23. And I mean, that's pretty good. Remember our old mate over here, the really, really cheap guy that was non-magnetic, 17, 23. For $6 more, you can get this guy magnetized. Slightly smaller, but with, I think, slightly better technology as well. It really doesn't make any sense to get the RS. I say that, but you know, it's still going to be a bestseller. Everyone's still going to get it because it just is the cheapest cube. Man, it's so nice to be turning a smaller cube one-handed. All right, on you go, Mr. Version 2. So that rounds off January and February in 2020, our 3 version 2s. How many cards have we got so far? We've got 3 cards after unboxing 5 cubes. And then March 2020, man, what a year that was. I mean, month. GAN really do be releasing these cubes left, right, and center throughout the pandemic, which is curious because, I mean, how could they have known that this was gonna happen? You can't just like release a cube immediately. It takes a while for like R&D and DNR and all that stuff. But these, my friends, are the 356M and the 356M Lite. I made an entire video on this guy when it came out. I'm actually really proud of that. I think it's one of the best cube review videos that I've made. You can check that out as well in the video description, in which I said that there's no credit card and I wasn't happy about it. No, I didn't say, ooh, that's right, I always forget that you can do that. Let's actually open them both and have them side by side. So we'll have the lighter version over here on the right, and we will have the standard version here on the left. Now both cubes look pretty much exactly the same. The light version is not called light because it's lighter. They're the exact same weight. They both clock in at 74 grams. So a bit of a misnomer to call this guy light. Why was it light? It was light in terms of what it came with. So accessory box time, the light. Okay, here's your light. This box is way, way lighter. So the 356M Lite came with the cube, a bag, instructions, the end. That's all it had. Meanwhile, the 356M came with bag and instructions, and here we are, our GES nuts. Annoyingly, these were not interchangeable with previous versions that used the GES nuts because this was an upgraded GES Plus. So, I mean, that's cool that it's new, but also a little bit annoying because if you owned an X or an XS, these nuts were not interchangeable with that. Speaking from experience, I can say that I have like, I don't know, a dozen of these little circular container thingies just lying around because, I mean, you pick the compression setting that you want and then you just leave it there forever. Like, you're not going to be constantly changing it. So there was a lot of plastic waste going on here, unfortunately. But how are the cubes like? Well, let's have a feel. Yeah, man, those were the days. This is like a trip down memory lane. Just remembering like what GAN always used to do with these plastic cases. I feel like I'm unboxing old iPhones or something. Like these are the iPhones like 5S. Was there a 5S? I don't know. Okay, 356M. I actually am very, very partial to the 356M because this guy ended up being my main for quite a long time. The closest thing to compare this to probably is the XS in terms of what's inside. But look, 40 bucks. $40 for the XS. Meanwhile, you could get the 35M standard right now for $27. And if you're willing not to have those extra nuts, $24 for the light. Oh, that's how you spell the light. Maybe that's why it's not actually light. And for these guys, I just love it right away. Okay, there's only one thing that I personally am not a huge fan of, and that's its matte finish. Well, it doesn't feel like that. It's a bit more of like a, I don't know, frosted finish. It's hard to explain. This feeling is very much old school 2020 to me. And I don't know, if it's really cold or if your fingers aren't feeling grippy, this cube can be very, very slippery. It's probably like one of its biggest weaknesses. But apart from that, it actually feels so incredible. You know, you can go through as many stats as you want with like what cubes offer and all the internals, but a lot of it really just comes down to like how it feels. This is pretty much exactly the same. They just feel really, really nice. So internally, we're gonna see, yep, the GES Plus, the new standard that GAN started to implement. And I believe, well, it didn't come with a tool, which means I should be able to just like finger adjust it. Yep, there we go. Ooh, and apparently this guy also came with version 2 of their honeycomb standard, like sort of internal finish. Oh, there it is. How is that version 2? So that's version 1. And this is version 2. Is it different? Maybe it's more like internal? I don't know. But hey, based on feel, I like it. I should also say they managed to drop the weight of this guy down to 74 grams. Incremental changes from its predecessors, but I mean, for what you're paying, $27, you are getting pretty close to premium standard. You are foregoing a few things. For example, I don't believe you can adjust the magnets. No, you can't. So it's a set magnet strength. I'm gonna say it's probably on the strong side. I personally like that. For myself, I prefer magnet strength that's maybe like 4 out of 5, 3.5 out of 5. And this one pretty much feels like it's not like ridiculously strong, but yeah, you can't change it. And I personally would call this the first like affordable GAN cube, because I mean, even though there were a lot of other like affordable ones from before, this one just, it feels like a GAN cube. This is the premium quality that you buy a GAN cube for. And then the lite version is basically identical to this guy. It just doesn't have those extra sets of GAS nuts. So if you want to save $3, yep, go ahead, get the lite version. It's identical in every way. And I'm gonna call it right now, I think this is probably the oldest GAN cube that I would still recommend in 2023 and possibly beyond. I will say though, I don't know how much more these cubes are going to be sold. Obviously cubes prior to, 2018, I couldn't even get my hands on those. They're not being sold anymore. And these guys have been out for a few years too. So all these cubes we've covered so far might actually start being sold soon. So if you want to get onto pretty good, budget GAN cubes, yeah, these guys are pretty great. Sorry, I'm just sort of feeling their weight because mid 70 grams, right? 74 grams. It's going to be a while till GAN produces a cube that's over 70 grams. So the next few years, GAN's going to dip into the 60s and even the 50s in terms of weight. It's insane, but let's go there. Maybe I should be collecting these guys instead. Whoa, what's going on there? Pin code. I'm gonna be real with you. I've never ever looked closely at this. It looks like it's giving you apparently $5 worth of value in their app to give you a beginner tutorial. Oh, well played, GAN. But also, seriously? You're gonna charge us $5? Well, and give it to us for free for a tutorial when you can find like 1 million tutorials on YouTube for free. In June 2020, GAN decides to release the 356 Air M. And this might make you think, oh cool, it's a 356 M that's now lighter. No, this was actually the successor to the 356 Air. And then they just stick M at the end of it. Go figure. You've got to name it something, right? So why not just confuse everyone? But here's something worth noting. Check this out. Hey. GAN had nice boxes. I mean, GAN already had nice boxes before, very Apple-like. Wouldn't be surprised to, get an iPhone when you open one of these. But for the first time, GAN getting into their metal reflective trim, and I, for one, am a huge fan. Love these boxes. Most other cube boxes, I'm pretty happy to just chuck into the bin once I've got the cube out. But GAN boxes, starting from this guy, they're ones that I'm always happy to keep. Yeah, here we go. Man, are we not gonna get any more of these cards? This is what I want, GAN, not this lousy $5 value guy. Don't worry, my friends, I'm sure we'll get more. 7 is my goal. Can we get at least 7? 10 even. Can we get 10 of these cards? Probably not. What can I say about the Air M? It's an odd one. I don't really know exactly what GAN was thinking when they released this. I think they just decided to fill a niche. To me, the issue of this guy is that it is so similar to the GAN XS. You can tell just from this adjustment tool, it's got the exact same one as the GAN XS. It also upgraded its core, I believe, so it's like the similar core to XS. Let's just check that really quick. Yep, there it is. That's our plastic core right in there, which reduced its weight to 68 grams, literally 1 gram off the XS, which was 67. It couldn't even, be as light as that guy. Its internals, it's got that honeycomb design, but as you can see from the sort of wings on these corner pieces, a little bit different. Look, personally, it's much of a muchness. What sort of design? I think as long as there's some sort of grooves to it that's not completely flat, it's gonna allow just, a bit more smoothness as the pieces pass by each other. But otherwise, I'm not totally sure what GAN was trying to do that year. Incremental changes, I guess. I mean, this is our 4th version 2 that we've seen so far in 2020. It almost feels as if maybe in the factory they decided, hey, we can just quickly replace the core and everything and then market like a brand new product. Again, don't get me wrong, the Air M did actually sell a whole stack of units. But when you have so many other cubes that are so similar to it, the XS and then the 356 Ms, like we previously unboxed, I just don't know what this has over those cubes. Maybe price. I mean, the XS was $40 and this guy is gonna come in at 26. So current price, of course, it was different back then. So I suppose you're getting something pretty good for less, but I don't know. You also can't adjust magnets. I should say that. So there's no magnet adjustment system here, whereas there is with the XS. Yeah, I can be pretty confident to say this is not a cube that you want to get in 2023. Because what GAN was about to release right next was going to be one of the greatest things the world has ever seen. By world, I actually just mean me and my cubing career. And that was the GAN11 M Pro with a triple camera system and Face ID. Seriously though. How is this not an iPhone box? So goodbye Air M, the last 356 cube that GAN would produce, because a brand new naming system was in. This guy came out in September 2020, mere months before President Biden won the election. It's a real trip down memory lane. And this, man, this was so popular. I don't know the exact stats, but I'm gonna hazard a guess and say this might, yes, there's a credit card! Look, what else do you need? I'm gonna say this might have been one of the most successful best-selling cubes that GAN sold, because man, this was everywhere. As soon as it came out, everyone just started using it. Even till today, you see this cube a lot. So obviously all the cubes sponsored by GAN, representing GAN, would use this all throughout 2020, but even throughout 2021, like Rihang, he used this in June 2021 to set the 5.48 world record average, and Timon Koloshinsky himself would also use this cube to set the 5.09 world record average later in 2021. So well over a year after this comes out, people are still using it and loving it. I think just like 2 comps ago, I used the 11 M Pro. I'm not even opening it yet. That's how like sacred it is. Anyway, this is what you're gonna get in the accessories, all the usual stuff that we've seen so far, instructions and that plush bag. And these, what are these, you ask? I'll reveal them to you pretty soon. Okay, look, this is just a screwdriver. It's nothing too exciting there. Are you ready? Here it is, the moment I have been waiting for. 3, 2, 1. It never gets old. My friends, the GAN11 M Pro. We are now well and truly into light territory. This guy weighs 63 grams. It is cool. It feels so good. It is a thing of beauty. It's very, very light. It's got that same GES updated system like we've seen in previous cubes. So this wasn't a huge change from the XS when it came to those nuts. The way that you adjusted the magnets also changed a little bit, but same 3 settings. But unfortunately, it was really hard to do by hand, and people suspect that's why it comes with a little safety thing on top. And that's one reason apparently why it comes with a screwdriver, so that you can use this to adjust the magnets. So kind of cool, but I mean, really not too different from the XS. Where this really broke new ground though was internally. Are you ready for this? This is what set the 11M Pro apart and made everyone really, really love it. This right there, you see it? The corner pieces have magnets. So we are already used to having magnets in all these edge pieces, right? I mean, sorry, corner to edge, that is. So corner pieces had magnets like internally over there. So piece to piece, they would sort of like attract each other and you get like, you know, clicking into position there. But internally, let's get all these pieces out and you can see, look at that. Oh my gosh. It's still to me one of the greatest things that they've ever done to cubes. They've got core magnets. Core magnets. It now locks into place with the core. So if I put that right there, look at that. Ta-da! That extra stability. So this corner is locked into place because of the edge that's beneath it, but also because of that magnet with the core that's holding it. And that means as you turn it, look at that, it just snaps into place in the next one. Mr. GAN himself once said that his dream is to make a cube where he can just like turn it partly and then it just like finishes the term almost as if by magic. And he was one step closer to that dream. This was a huge deal And it's something you can definitely feel. The level of stability that these core magnets added was, yeah, it was incredible. Now, it's time to open what's in this box. Are you ready for it? So inside the box, we have, ta-da, our adjustment tool. So we've seen this now in several cubes. First seen with the GAN XS, which came out 1 year before this in 2019. This is what we're gonna be using to adjust the nuts under the hood right there. So like we've seen before, right and left for tighter and looser. And then you've got that blue guy in the middle that you can also adjust. So well and truly gone are the days where GAN cubes would ship with like, you know, 3-4 more sets, like that entire wheel of like spare nuts, which I'm very, very pleased by. But what you might miss, and I missed the first time that I opened this, is this. 8 little guys right here. What is this? These, my friends, are replacements for the magnets. Isn't that crazy? GAN is so committed to wanting to allow users to customize the cube that they're even gonna let you change the magnet setting of these internal core magnets. It's insane! Now it's only a second set that they're providing, but I mean, between being able to adjust this and these magnets over there, and then your tension compression spring settings, you can really customize this to your heart's delight. Oh man, it is so nice. Of every cube that I've unboxed so far, this is the one I would confidently still take into a competition with me today and use. And its price, 45 bucks. Not cheap compared to other brands and some of the cubes we've seen so far, but as for me, as someone who competes, who likes to know that I'm using a cube that's gonna put me in the best position to, you know, get a personal record or making videos, and I just wanna like be able to show on camera like, you know, the best way to do an algorithm or something, I want a good cube. And this is a good cube. But wait, there's more. Because the 11 M Pro was also the very, very first that GAN decided to release 4 different versions of. But not like, you know, V1, V2, V3, V4, 4 different finishes. So this first one we looked at was the matte finish, right? Pretty standard like what we've had so far. But they also released a UV coated black primary internals, which was, you know, same as this. And this guy, the soft. Now, look, it didn't really make sense for me to buy all 4 of these and show you what they all look like, partly because, well, I've made an entire video comparing the 4 that you can find in the video description, but also because the UV coated version is one that you're gonna continue to see in cubes to come. Oh yay, I got another one of these. Woohoo! But the soft, this, I believe, is the only time that GAN decided to make a soft coated version of their cube. 3, 2, 1. Why did that one come out first? That was strange. But yeah, here it is. It's something that you just have to feel to understand. Oh man, this brings back memories. The soft-coated version of the 11 M Pro was what I used to get my one and only sub-10 solve in a competition. I have a 9.96 second 3x3 solve, probably the proudest thing I'll ever have done in my cubing career. And I got it using the soft version of this cube. The best way that I can describe the soft feel of the 11 M Pro is a teeny bit like a silicone case. So like, you know, I've got these are my iPods, and I've got this like silicone case that I use to protect it. I don't know if it actually does, and it's a little bit like that, but not really, because this is way more plasticky, but you know, it definitely just has that feel. Why all the different finishes? GAN was saying, well, it's because we're just increasing the grip. And I definitely found that to be the case, where you had much better grip with this. And I found that with a lot of use, which, you know, I gave my cubes a lot of use, they actually started to wear off. They actually started to, not look as good anymore after a little while. And yeah, it was noticeable. Like you could literally see bits almost like coming off. Like, oh no, you could almost see bits that had like fallen off. And it just started to feel a little bit grimy. I suspect that's the reason why GAN didn't pursue this sort of like, you know, soft coated finish with its later cubes. I am sad about it because I really liked it, but that's my guess for the manufacturing process. And with that, GAN decided they were done with cubes in 2020. So September 2020. So this was the final cube that GAN decided to produce in 2020. I mean, that's a lot of cubes that we've gone through so far. And I didn't even mention their random budget line that they suddenly decided to make, like the Monster Go series. I'm not reviewing these guys because even though they're the same sort of like umbrella company, I would consider it to be a different brand. It has a very different feel and it's a lot heavier, definitely cheaper and more budget, but they're not GAN cubes. You may also notice that I'm not reviewing the Bluetooth smart cubes, and that's because my focus for this video are cubes that you can use in competitions. And any cubes with electronics in it, you are not permitted to use in an official competition. Also, those are cubes that are gonna start requiring charging and apps and all that stuff. And hey, we're purists here. So would I recommend the GAN11 M Pro today? Yes, and maybe no, because the next year, and not even just the start of the year, in April 2021, 7 months, that's a really long time, after GAN's just been pumping out cubes left, right, center, out of nowhere, the 11M Duo. Now I'm not gonna lie, really happy that GAN produced the 11M Duo, but it was a long wait. It was a little bit strange. Maybe they just reached saturation point and maybe the 11M Pro was just selling so well. But what did the Duo offer that this guy didn't? Well, actually, I can answer that pretty easily. A price cut. Not a huge one, but I mean, it's not too bad. Uh-oh. No credit card. That's where they save the money. They don't provide you one of these beautiful guys. So sad. But what they did provide you with is everything else. We've got our same tensioning tool like we saw from before. Really nice velvet bag and our customary instructions. But you may notice, compared to 11M Pro, no extra sets of core magnets, because indeed, the one thing that they removed in order to save on cost were magnets customizability. So if I'm not wrong, yep, you can't even change these magnets as well. It's a hit to both the magnets, on the core magnets on the inside and these magnets over here. But I mean, at least they still have the core magnets. So let's have a quick peek. Yep. So remember, this is what made the 11M Pro such a groundbreaking flagship in 2020. It just had these core magnets. So now stability was provided not just from piece to piece, but from piece to core. And it's a big deal. Like, it's a really big deal. Apart from that, the 11M Duo is the same as the 11M Pro in virtually every single way. In fact, it even has an improvement, which is that it's lighter. This guy was 63 grams, right? The 11M Pro. This guy, 59. Sub 60. And you can tell, this thing is light. It's nearly getting too light. But you know, I still personally am pretty happy to use it. I just find it so funny to think of the difference that 7 months make. It's honestly such a nice cube. It's incredible. And this, I'm gonna say, is gonna give the 11M Pro its biggest run for its money. I said before that this is probably the oldest GAN cube that I would still confidently bring into a competition. The only reason why I maybe feel a bit less confident about this is that I personally would do something to make the magnets that fraction bit heavier. Apparently they're on the same default settings that you get with the 11M Pro, but I don't know if it's just me, the magnets here feel a little bit stronger. Like this is that, 4 out of 5 strength, which I personally like, whereas this is that, I don't know, it feels to me like a 2 out of 5, maybe 2.5 out of 5. And I just wish that it was a little bit stronger, that's all. I need to stop scrambling this, but when you're holding it, it's so hard to, not fidget with the cube. So Mr. 11M Pro, yes, definitely recommended. 11M Duo, very much recommended as well. I actually made a video comparing these two and saying that it probably makes the most sense to go with this guy if you're okay with the magnet strength, because look at the money that you're saving. But before you start to think that I'm just going to recommend every single GAN cube from now on, I'm not feeling as favorable about the next 3. Maybe because it's been a little while since they'd produced some new cubes. GAN inexplicably decided to release the Air and the M. So remember, they've completely dropped the 356 moniker by now. They're just going with 11 because actually I don't even know why. definitely wasn't their 11th year. Maybe their 11th iteration of the GAN. It wasn't even confusing. It's the iPhone, that's why. Although I think the iPhone 12 came out in this year. So, you know, copy your friend's homework, but you don't want to make it look too much like you completely ripped it off. So what were these two cubes anyway? Well, the 11M was a completely bare bones version of the 11M Pro. Magnetic though, still with the M, and the 11 Air was a bare bones version of this, as if you couldn't strip it down enough. But they made some odd choices. That's all I'm gonna say. Yeah, see, no credit cards. We're just saving money everywhere we can. So our 11M clocking in at $35, and I mean, look, you're saving money, but really saving $2 to lose, you know, all the stuff that it did lose. To its credit, still comes to that adjustment system with that nice velvet pouch. We've seen plenty of these now. It's definitely time, high time for GAN to change this pouch. Foreshadowing and customary instructions. That's what you're gonna get in the accessories. What you're gonna see in the cube though is, oh man, it is so light. So this is about as light as it gets. This was 50 grams. I'm gonna say this is probably too light for me. I think some people maybe might not mind it, but this is almost like you turn it and then you just drop it, like that kind of light. Crazy. So the magnets are definitely there, you can feel it, but there's something that's off. There's something about it that just feels really cheap. Let's have a look under the hood to see what's going on the inside. So if I'm not wrong, yep, there we go. No core magnets. So that, I mean, that's what defined the 11M range. It was those corner magnets. It was the new, like, groundbreaking thing that the 11 series brought. And so to take that away, sad, but I mean, I guess it makes sense if you're stripping this down to like give you a cheaper version. It still has that nice plastic core that was introduced a few years old now, 2019 with the XS. But I mean, yeah, I guess it's good. That's what's making it so light, and you know, fairly decent magnets. But not having those core magnets, it just doesn't make sense. It's a very, very weird choice to try and shave off $2, you know, comparing this guy to this guy, and just losing quite a lot. To its credit, we still have, you know, the fairly advanced GS tensioning system, complete with the tool that we saw before, so, you know, it's really not terrible. And yeah, the weight loss, some would say, is an advantage, but I personally think we're getting into territory now where, yeah, like I said, it's just so light, it's not really making sense anymore. Speaking of not making sense, a little bit earlier in this video, we looked at the 356 RS, which I said still sells very well today, despite the fact that it has no magnets, and it's just an odd GAN cube. It just doesn't make sense to me in 2023 to be buying cubes with no magnets. If you're serious about cubing, you're gonna get your customary instructions. They included the bag at least. It must be pretty cheap though if they can include it in every single one. But GAN decided it would be a great idea. Wait, open. Why aren't you opening? Oh, I was just waiting for it to pop open itself. GAN decided it would be a great idea to make another cube with no magnets. Introducing the GAN Air. What does this have over the RS? It's lighter. This guy's 50 grams, just like the 11M. It is slightly costlier, not by a lot, you know, like $2 more. But yeah, all the stuff that I said were problems with the RS. The fact that you can stop turning and then it just looks like this, right? It's just misshapen. Whereas these cubes, you know, look, I'm not trying to align it perfectly. It just does because of all the magnets that are in it. This one, yeah. And so you're just gonna lock up that little bit more. That's what cubers say when you're trying to, like, when you're turning, you're trying to do the next move and you're like, I find that actually often I'll turn layers, which I'm not meaning to, because it's just not locked into place as much as I wish it was. I feel like it's not very fair of me though. Like, I should at least, you know, give it a solve before I fully judge it. Yeah, this thing is yuck. Okay, I could also just be a terrible cuber. The 11M makes no sense. Ooh, actually, there's one more thing that makes even less sense. Look, they went backwards in their GES nut system. Maybe because they were trying to clear stock and they just had a lot of these like spare parts. But yeah, this is really a step backwards. Granted, you're getting a GAN11 cube for, I mean, 19 compared to 45 is a big price difference. You get 2 of these. That's, you know, less than one of the 11 M Pros. But why? Why? Now, all these cubes are still for sale today. And if you're interested, I actually made an entire video literally comparing these 4. I go into quite a bit of detail. I can give you the spoiler right now. I recommended this as the #1, but I go into more detail into like what you're actually going to get with each of these. And sure, I completely respect that for budget reasons that some of you don't want to get these ones over here. But yeah, check out that video. That'll be in the description as well. And the last cube to wrap up our GAN 2021 mid-year season release was the GAN Mini M Pro. So cute. It was a very confusing name. A bunch of people call this the GAN11 Mini M Pro because, I mean, its box looks exactly the same as the GAN11 M Pro, like, yeah, same design. And it came out at such a similar time to all the other 11 cubes. Not just that, look at what you get. You remember this? This is exactly what we got with our, well, they're just jumping out. Probably because of the magnets. This is exactly what we got with the 11 series as well, those core magnets. So yeah, this guy has core magnets, which is really, really cool. What have I done? The magnets are just causing it to go haywire. I regret opening it. Can I just close it? Yep, I'm not even gonna think about it. Oh, velvet pouch. Oh, is it smaller? I don't think it's smaller. It'd be cute if it was smaller. Instructions and a screwdriver in there. Literally the exact same things we saw with the 11 M Pro. And that's why people called it the Mini 11. And you don't blame them. Whee! Exact same box. But look, there's a little bit of like an extra gap. As you can see, it doesn't like fit in perfectly. And yeah, there we go. It had its own little extra stand there because they used the same box that they would for the 11M. And yeah. I remember this guy. There are a few cubes that we can compare this to. We can compare this to the 11M Pro, like we have been so far. And indeed, it's very sadly, in price, it is very, very similar. It sort of makes sense because it's such similar technology. But I mean, the fact that they could release the other 11 variants for so much less, a little bit disappointing that we're still paying so much for this today. But the other cube we can compare this to is the previously released 354M. So what's the difference between these two? Size-wise, they're both smaller than our standard 56 millimeters. This is 54, but look at this guy. Let's line it up at the bottom. Ta-da! A fraction shorter on the top. This guy was 53 millimeters. Very, very small cube. And for that reason, really, really nice for one-handed. But one thing, it's frosted finish. Unlike the 11M Pro, this guy only came out in one variant. And as much as I really, really enjoy turning it, it is so slippery. I mean, can you hear that? There's just something about the way that this guy was manufactured that, I don't know. I really wanted to like this cube. It fills a complete niche, a complete gap that doesn't have many other cubes in it. The fact that it's smaller for one-handed solving, the fact that a lot of younger people solve cubes and their hands are smaller. I've got big adult hands that play the piano. That's not a random thing. I actually think my playing the piano when I was a kid is what influenced, like, you know, my fairly long like handspan's. But yeah, you would think that there would just be a market, more of a market for these smaller cubes. So for some reason, the Mini M Pro, as far as I can tell, didn't really do too well. Didn't sell too well. You just don't see a lot of people using it when you go into, you know, competitions or when you meet other cubers. Despite the fact that under the hood, it's got all the stuff that came with the 11M Pro, those core magnets. You know, if you can't already tell, I love core magnets, and I think it's one of the best things, apart just from having magnets in the first place, that they've done with cubes. Oh, not just that. If you open up the center cap, they've actually given an upgrade to this system. So this is something that we're going to see in later cubes. So I'll sort of expound on that a little bit more later. But yeah, there's an upgrade to the tensioning system with like this numerical turning wheel. It had everything going for it on paper, but just with feel. I don't know, dude. Maybe it was just too small. Maybe 53 millimeters was actually too small for it. And that's what makes it a really hard question. If you're after a small GAN cube, these are the only two that are currently on sale still, right? Are you gonna get the 354M V2? That's much older technology and also significantly heavier. I can really feel that. But is, you know, nearly half the price. Or are you gonna get something much better technology, much newer, but strangely just so much more slippery and costs so much more? It's very, very hard to decide between these two. And I think that's why most people just stick to 56 millimeter cubes. I mean, even I love solving cubes one-handed, and even though it would be so much nicer to just have a smaller cube, you do just get used to the larger size after a while. But then, in September 2021, GAN did something super brave and super bold, release a new cube. Not just one, but two new cubes. In fact, the exact same month that they had released the GAN11 M Pro last year in September, and the same month that Apple releases their iPhones. Coincidence that the iPhone 13 gets announced the exact same month as the GAN12? I think not. So version 1 was called the Leap, as in your mom's gonna leap when she finds out how much this costs, and the Maglev. Ooh, new technology. So what was so special about the 12? Well, for starters, a brand new card. Yeah, woo! Add that to our collection there. One more of these guys. The accessories you're gonna get with the GAN12 look very similar to the 11 M Pro, and so we're gonna have our customer instructions. Can you even think about how much paper GAN has used to print all of these things? Some people might actually use them, but it'd probably be like 0.1% of their customers who don't know how to solve a cube or who wouldn't just go straight to YouTube. Nice velvet bag that we've seen for several years worth of GAN cubes now. I mean, not complaining, it's really good. And this guy, which we had previously seen in that Mini 11. Yep, exactly the same. So replacements for those corner core magnets, and then our tensioning tool that now looks a little bit different from how it used to. We'll leave that out so that we can use it. And back to an older box. I mean, what happened to this cool springy thing? But wait, it still springs open. Yeah, they put some springs in the back, so I still think the 11 box was cooler, but that's okay. So what actually improved for the 12M compared to the 11? Does this guy have those corner core magnets like this one? Yep, sure does. Really cool adjustable external magnets. Yep, exactly the same in that regard. Customizable tightness and spring compressions. Yep, although it has been upgraded to a newer version, as you can see. So way more levels provided now with the 12. According to GAN, there are now 6 travel distances and 6 tension levels, providing 36 levels of numerical tuning. So you've still got the 3-prong tool that's gonna adjust the nut in the back. And then on this side, you hear the clicks as it goes along. And you can actually see that blue bit going higher and lower as I adjust it. A lot of reviewers have said how hard it is to see those numbers though. Zooming in with my camera, I can see it, but in real life, it's actually quite hard to see. One of the most significant changes of all, I would say, was internal. So 11 on the left, 12 on the right. And if you peek inside, what can you see? Those core magnets in the 12 were much closer to the center. And that's because, ta-da, they stick out more. It's such a subtle change, making the magnets extend out farther in the 12 compared to the 11. But the result is the attraction that the corner has to the core as it moves around lasts longer. Oh man, it's actually so strong. See it right there in the middle? It's basically within a magnet's magnetic field for a longer travel distance compared to the 11. It's a bit harder to see it because it's being covered, but can you see there's this whole range in the middle where the magnet's not really against anything? But the net result is, if you thought the 11 M Pro already sort of moved itself because of the magnets, this guy much more so. It's hard to sort of demonstrate that on camera, but it feels like it just finishes the move for me. Like I just have to start, I mean, like, you know, if you do it to that, it will just stay. But I just have to push it like that little bit more, and it sort of like turns itself. And not just that, but even when it overshoots, like you might notice if I push it too hard and it sort of goes over, it then just like springs back. You see that? And all that, of course, means very accurate turning. This is what GAN is really famous for. Pushing the limits as far as possible just to get turning super accurate. Something that I really appreciate about GAN. And can you feel it? Yeah, you sure can. The 12 was probably the first GAN cube that I consciously could actually feel like the magnets were working with me. Sometimes it was distracting, just sort of being aware of like how much work the magnets were doing. This is all above board, competition legal, by the way. The WCA is totally fine with having magnets in your cube. I don't know how far we can possibly stretch this thing. Well, I mean, we will see how far in the 13. But yeah, did the 12 take a leap ahead of the 11? I think it did, but for a price, of course. You are now looking at $50 for the 12M Leap, where right now you can get the 11 for $45. Of course, that wasn't it for the 12, because as you can see, another version was made, and this one was more popular. Why was it more popular? Well, Maglev, baby. For the first time ever, GAN decided to put Maglev technology, into their cubes. Whoa, there's a stickered version? Okay, this is genuinely taking me by surprise. I both didn't realize that GAN was still making stickered versions of cubes and that Billy from Daily Puzzles had decided to chuck one into this unboxing, but cool. So the 12 Maglev is identical to the 12 Leap. It's gonna have those longer core magnets, so it will feel like it turns itself. This looks so different in a stickered cube. So it's gonna have that new GES system, but check this out, watch. Just completely flies off. If I take that off, look at this. Even more magnets instead of a spring. So all of the other cubes, let me just take the nut out of the 12 Leap. So modern speed cubes have 6 springs, and that explains why they can do all these fancy things like corner cutting, because for a brief moment, we're actually gonna need each layer basically to just warp to be able to be like stretched out just ever so slightly. But yeah, as you turn it, you can really feel the effect of those springs. Not having those springs is something that it's really characteristic of like older cubes, like the older Rubik's Cube brands, where it's just, if the cube was like off by this much, you could not make the next turn. Springs allow just that perfect amount of flexibility so that you can corner cut. However, springs are just gonna still have that little bit of friction, right? I mean, the moving parts that are rubbing against each other. Plus the noise. It's not like super significant, but you can hear it. Maglev technology, however, allows that sort of spring compression, because as I push these opposite poles of magnets against each other, and then when I let go, it springs back up again. However, when it spins, so when it's going like around, because these two parts don't touch each other, it eliminates a lot of friction and it just automatically makes it smoother. Now, to be clear, this wasn't something that GAN invented. Something that actually been around in the cubing scene for quite a while, but this was one of the first times that it was commercially used in a cube. And the result is that. Look, I don't mean for it to be anticlimactic, because I personally can feel a difference. There is a little bit less friction. It's a little bit easier to turn. It's a little bit quieter as well, not having the spring noise. And that's what the Maglev has going for it. I mean, you are paying for it. If you thought that $50 was quite a lot for the 12M Leap, for the Maglev, you are paying an extra $63 for that privilege. And that's quite a jump, because that's the only difference you're gonna get between these two cubes. Everything else is exactly the same. What's in the box, all the technology on the inside of the cubes. $13 for the Maglev technology. So should you get it? That's $1 million question. And it's a hard one to answer. If I had to be perfectly honest, the improvement in terms of smoothness and like, you know, not hearing as much of that spring sound as you turn the Maglev is an improvement, but maybe by like 20%. 15%, 10%. And so the question really is, do you want that 15% improvement but pay an extra $13? If you ask me, and you might say more about my personality, but if you're already going this high, you're interested in something premium, and then you may as well just get the Maglev. But then if you're just gonna get the Maglev, you may as well go even higher and get the UV coated Maglev. Because, I mean, as evidenced by the stickered version, GAN's still releasing different surface variants of their flagship cubes, and the Maglev is no exception. Yes, another card. So everything in the box, exactly the same as before We're gonna get those instructions, that velvet bag, extra core magnets, an extra set of core magnets, and that adjustment tool. So literally exactly the same in every way to the regular Maglev that's not UV coated. And the only difference between this and the Leap is that it's got Maglev, but shiny. So this is the first UV coated GAN cube that I've unboxed in this video so far. It isn't GAN's first UV cube. They made a UV version of their 11M, which is what I also use for quite a while. Oh, yo, that's nice. And yeah, you know all that stuff I'm saying about like, you know, it being quieter. It's not like, I mean, that's not quiet. Sure, I'm turning pretty rough. It's more that you just don't hear the spring as much, but you still, I mean, there's still moving parts, right? There's still like all these internal bits that are moving against each other. And I wonder if it is even that teeny bit rougher just because of how many magnets there are in there now. Like there are magnets between literally every single piece and another piece, but also between all these corners and the inner core. So yeah, noisy. Where UV comes in clutch is that, man, the grip that UV provides is like no other. It's grippy. And when side by side with like a matte coating, you can really see the difference. This guy's just smoother and therefore a little bit more slippery. Is this stuff that's gonna affect your solves? Well, I mean, who knows? Maybe in a tense situation, it might bring your solve down by like tenths of a second. Otherwise, it probably is personal preference. And just general, I don't know, comfort when you're solving. I'll be honest with you, I'm a big fan of UV. Like where I can, I'm gonna get a UV coated cube, even if it means jumping from there to there to there and paying that much for it. To me, it's worth it because I cube a lot and I compete a lot. And so I actually do want really good cubes. So my verdict on this is that it's a great cube. I believe it was this exact cube and variant, the 12M Maglev UV, that Timon used to get the first ever sub 5 world record average in July 2022. So this is a good, you know, nearly a year after this came out and people were using it. Oh, Timon also used this to get his recent 3.85 second single. Yiheng Wang, also the current, at time of recording, world record average by Yiheng Wang. His 4.69 second average just in March this year was done using this cube. Mari Hiroba Inaba is another one. So yeah, all the current fast cubers who use GAN cubes, they all really seem to enjoy using the 12M Maglev, and specifically the UV coated edition. Oops, that way. It's one that I would say you're really getting what you pay for in terms of all the, you know, tech that's inside of it, all the customizability, and it actually feels like a really great cube. Now, Tingman, you might be saying, is this how it's gonna be for now? You're just gonna, you know, fanboy over all of these GAN cubes? GAN boy even? Well, no, but so what if I want to, huh? I don't have to listen to you. Okay, sorry, I'm not sure where this attitude is coming from. But September 2021 was when these cubes came out, right? Very strangely, GAN released zero new 3x3s for the next entire year. Okay, that's partly lying. They did release more like smart cubes, and this whole time I haven't mentioned, GAN's also been making like pyraminxes and scubes. But yeah, for an entire year after September 2021, no new cubes were released. So September 2020, right? September 2021, and then when September 2022 came, everyone was wondering, is a new cube gonna come? Is this a thing now, a pattern that GAN's gonna do? And the answer was yes, because predictability. Let's leave an 11 and a 12 here so that we have stuff to compare it with. The GAN13 released in September 2022, the same month that the Queen died actually. But this time there was no, you know, cheaper Leap variant. No. This time, Maglev came standard. So the standard GAN13 just has Maglev built in. Also decided to upgrade the box. And I, for one, am a huge fan. I love it. The way the box is designed actually tells you a bit about what you're gonna expect, because look how you open it. It's magnets. Look, the whole box just opens like this. Yeah, move aside cubes. And look, even more magnets here and here. What? 2 cards? Yeah, that has to be a packaging error. I'm pretty sure they didn't mean to give me 2 cards. They're even numbered differently. Did I just unbox the first ever like 13 that accidentally had 2 cards in it? Yeah, more for me, baby. So look at this. Not just a new packaging. Actually, I need to show you the packaging. Look. It is a thing of beauty. Just with the packaging alone. As fully opened, we see this like exploded layout of the internal cube. We see Maglev technology right there. we see all the corner magnets and stuff that's going on there, but we also see an additional magnet that the edge pieces have. What's going on? Well, magnets are the flavor of the month, my friend. Wait, what? Okay, this is my fault. I was actually really sure that they changed their velvet cover in the 13 and they didn't. GAN must have actually produced like 3 million of these and they just need to like get rid of it for a few more years. Let's be fair, they actually have released like new versions of these pouches, because again, it was a lie to say that GAN hasn't been producing new cubes. They've been producing a lot of these like special edition variants of their 11, 12 and 13. Again, I made an entire video on that, all the colors of the rainbow, which you can check out in the video description. But you look at this. Oh, I almost thought we got away with not getting one of these. Instructions again. GAN Morfang Sun. Oh, I can't read that. But because the 11 box wasn't good enough, and apparently neither was the 12, even though they both spring open, GAN makes a brand new box for its 13. That doesn't spring open. However, look at this. Pop! Magnets! Even more magnets. Like, how many magnets do we need? And most importantly, this little adjustment tool that pretty much everyone missed, including myself, when they first opened the box. To be fair, it is in the instructions, but I mean, who reads the instructions? But this is what you're gonna use to be able to make adjustments to this cube, like changing the magnet strength just over there. So what's changed with the 13? Well, in short, everything. According to GAN, even their maglev system was improved. Oh, that's right. I remember now, the center caps in the 13 are just really hard to open for some strange reason. That's different internally, isn't it? Yeah, that's definitely different. So 12 on the left and 13 on the right. And our wheel now has more cogs. So let's check this out and see what the fuss is all about. Ooh, there she is. So this is their magnetic GS system version 2. That's apparently even smoother. Oh, look at the back, that's so cool. Yep. So as you can see, as you sort of click this around in place, it's got little steps down there that's gonna cause these magnets to either be closer, oops, wrong way, to either be closer or farther apart. And obviously if it's closer, it's gonna just be that little bit tighter as you turn the cube. And it's farther apart, it's gonna be a lot looser and allow for, I guess, easier corner cutting, but also for the cube to not be as stable. So very cool, nice improvements in that department. Gone is that plastic adjustment tool that we've seen for several iterations of GAN cubes now. Now instead we just have grooves that we can use this adjustment tool to turn. There we go. Ooh, that is way too tight. And then we should be able to do the same with that wheel in the very back. Just click it. Yep, there we go. Just to the setting that you want it. So there's a lot of trial and error over here. Nah, I don't like that. Eventually you hear the loud click and it just sort of resets back to where it was before. Yeah, that's nice. So no plastic adjustment tool. And I, for one, am a big fan of that. I think it's really brilliant that GAN has reached a point where all they need is this one magnetic tool. Wait. I mean metal. Sorry, too many magnets. There's magnets everywhere. One metal tool, no like, 4 extra sets of GES nuts or these additional magnet capsules. It's just that, and you can adjust everything. Oh, we need to have a look at this because even this has been improved. So we previously had 3 settings for the magnets over here with the adjustment, and now we have 6. It's this whole wheel now that gets like turned around. As I mentioned for a previous wheel, it is incredibly hard to see what number is there. I mean, maybe I'm just an old man and I can't see it very well, but I mean, you've got to do this for like 8 pieces? Is it 8? No, it's more than 8. Isn't it like 24 or something? Is that 3? No, that's 5. 4, 3. Yep, so 3 is the default setting. Yep, they're all just by default 3. Yeah, I guess you need to have some negatives if you're going to simplify things so much down to like one single tool. It's a little bit harder to customize. But that's not all, because I haven't shown you what's inside yet. According to GAN, they now have core positioning 3.0. So we've seen these corner magnets, right? That's nothing to write home about. We've had that since the 11M, which to me is now a bit of a must-have when it comes to these GAN premium cubes. But look, we now have edge magnets with the core as well. Why? Why, you ask? Well, the reason is genius. Look at this. These 2 magnets going to each other attract, right? And that means that they must be opposite polarities. So, okay, a bit of a science lesson. Let's say the end is north right there, right? That means that this must be south, which is why they can attract. However, if this is north, and if it attracts to that core magnet in there, it means that core magnet down there is south as well. So north and south, these 2 will attract. but south and south, these two repel. You get it? What that means is that when the cube is in place like this, everyone's happy. All of these 8 corners are currently being attracted to the core, like it's the correct polarity. But when you turn it like 45 degrees, there's just a bit of a tension in there. I mean, it can hold in place because I sort of pushed it like that, but all of these edges now have opposite magnet polarity with the core. And it sort of resists being like that. So if it can, do you see that little bit of move without me pushing it? It would very much prefer not to be in that middle 45 degree position, which means again, GAN is getting one step closer to his dream of getting cubes to just turn on their own. It really feels like it just clicks into place with every single turn. It almost feels like there is something on the inside, some like machinery or something that's actually like causing each turn to get completed to that perfect 90-degree thing, but it's not without disadvantages. For starters, for some reason, it's just a little bit harder to make turns. I wonder if it's because to even make like a 90-degree turn, you are not only moving these 4 corners away from their like natural, I mean, they've got a magnetic attraction now that's like locking them in place here. And so you've got to overcome that to even get them out. But on top of that, you also now need to overcome the fact that this edge does not like to be at that 45 degree mark. And so there's even more resistance over here. And then once you pass that point, then it's smooth going to the next one. But there just feels like there's increased resistance. Of course, all of this can be mitigated with getting your adjustments exactly how you want them over here and over here. But from what I've heard, it's hard work. I have sat down with the GAN13 for a good like hour going over and over with the settings and trying to fine tune to exactly how I wanted to, and I haven't been able to do it. Not just that, really strangely, they've made this heavier. Probably because of the additional magnets now that all the edges need to have. But you might remember that the 11 M Pro was 63 grams. The 12 M Maglev was 66, so a little bit heavier, but hey, we are adding more stuff to it. The 13 is 71. Strange. We're now reaching weights that GAN cubes used to be like 2 or 3 years ago. It's odd. And honestly, you can feel it. You can really feel the difference between an 11 and a 13. And have I mentioned the price? You are paying for all these improvements, my friend. You are certainly paying for it. These are current prices, of course. Actually, that's not an apples to apples comparison. We should use the non-UV version of the 12M. Yep. So current prices, we are going from $45 to $63 to $78. Those are big jumps. And it doesn't stop there because of course, GAN released a UV variant of the 13M Maglev. Do you want to guess how much this bad boy is going to cost? That magnetic box is nice though. Whoa, look at that. This is currently the most expensive GAN cube money can buy at $84. That's excluding the Bluetooth smart cubes, of course. $84 US for a single Rubik's cube. It's incredible. Does it feel good? Yeah. You feel like you are turning something really special with the 13. It's like driving, I don't know, an expensive car for the first time. You can tell that you're handling something costly and special, but it may not actually be the most comfortable drive. And I'm not the only one who feels that way, because this has been out for a little while now, like over half a year, but strangely, we're not seeing a lot of top-level cubers use this. A lot of them are still using the 12s. We're definitely not seeing the 11 as much anymore on that top level. You're seeing a lot of like more average mainstream cubers like myself use the 11s. Like these are definitely still in circulation a lot. But the 13, yeah. If you see these around, it's because someone, you know, got a cool Christmas present. But you know, they're very protective of their 13 because of how much they paid. Like they were users only for special occasions. And then if they're actually like, you know, bringing a cube out and about, it probably is not going to be this guy. Is it just because of cost? Or is it just because of that, I don't know, that strange feel? The fact that it just requires so much effort and time customizing, the fact that it's heavier than previous versions, the fact that for me personally, no amount of customizing seems to get it feeling just right. There's something about the 13 that's just a little bit squishier, and it's really hard to put my finger on. Okay, I just put my finger on it. But hey, that's not saying that no one's using this. For example, Seung-hyuk Nam did recently set a South Korean NR with this cube in April 2023, a 5.77 average, which is a beautiful result. Yeah, that's what I mean. There's something about this cube that I just feel like I don't trust. Like when I'm just spamming and I'm going as fast as I possibly can, I just find that the 13 catches that little bit more than the 11 and 12 does. It could just be me and a lot of the other top level cubers as well, but I'm not entirely convinced that the most expensive cube is the best one. Having said that, it's still got a lot of 5-star reviews. People who have it, who get it just right to their tuning, love it. But yeah, will this be the number maybe that gets skipped? I mean, it's not too long now until the 14 is gonna get released if GAN sticks to their yearly September schedule, and so might everyone just leap from the 12 straight to the 14, given what the 13 was like? Who knows? But there is one last cube, and that's because just a couple of months ago, maybe because GAN knew issues that people were having with its cost, who knows, GAN decided to release the 13 Maglev FX, which stands for Fox Effects? Maybe it stands for fixed, because just like we've seen in previous versions of cubes, for example, light air versions that we've seen in previous years. Ooh, I just realized this is a totally different box. Interesting. Table's getting a bit crowded. There we go. We'll just keep these three guys for comparison. GAN decided, I'm gonna help you save money and not include a credit card. Oh, hey, they still included that exploded version of the cube. It's just within here now. That's kind of cool. And save money we did. $67, a huge $11 saving. I actually am quite excited about this because of every single cube that I've unboxed in this video so far, all 19. This is cube number 20, lucky last. I have never ever used this one, so I'm fresh to it. First, however, we have to see what comes in the box. So included accessories are, yep, exactly the same as a 13. It would have been odd if it was anything more than that. So just instructions and that nice velvet bag. Yep, it hasn't changed since like 2020, exact same bag. Well, are you gonna change it for the 14 GAN if you're watching this video? Or maybe can you make a special version just for me? That'd be so cool. Same cool magnetic box as the other 13s with that adjustment tool. Yep, adjustment tool's right in there as well. Magnets. But the price wasn't the only thing that they fixed with the 13 Maglev FX. It's also lighter by 65 grams. This now puts it in between these two, to me, in like pretty acceptable weight range. I mean, again, not that this guy's super heavy. I'm not trying to shame him or anything, but with how much I'm paying, it's just a little bit odd to get a heavy cube. So yeah, definitely, you can definitely feel that weight difference. This guy is lighter. And the only thing really that's being sacrificed is the fact that you cannot adjust magnets. Ta-da! Otherwise, everything on the inside. Yep, it's still just as hard to open. Why? Ouch. That really hurts. Am I supposed to use that adjustment tool to open it now? Is that what you're trying to make me do? I refuse. Ouch. Yep, I did it. It's got that exact like version 3.0 of the Maglev adjustment system. It should still have those, yep, edge magnets right there and those long corner core magnets. So it's got all the same stuff that we've come to know and love with the 13. I don't know if you can tell, but I'm still not completely convinced that these edge core magnets are the way to go. But the FX is, ooh, it is. Okay. Cube face, made a video saying that for some strange reason, the FX just feels smoother than the regular Maglev. Oh, oops. Yeah, it would be smoother if you've got a sticker on it. And yeah, I think you might be right. Why is it smoother? Is it just a weight thing that it's not being like held down as much? Yo, that feels nice. That actually just feels so much more stable. This actually feels like a cube that I'd be willing to use in like a high stakes, like, in a competition scenario. That makes no sense. Is it literally just the absence of that, like, that lever system over here where you adjust it that makes this thing lose like, 5 grams in weight? That can't be. Crazy. Now, I've actually gone through this entire video without doing a single timed solve. So let's embarrass myself with this very final cube. If I get a decent time on this, I'm thinking I actually might use this in an upcoming competition. Oh, GAN timer, by the way. One of the newer like purple GAN timers, which I actually kind of dig. It's very small and compact. That's what I like about it. All right, here we go. Oh no. Okay, mistakes were made. That is not the fault of the cube though. That's me. That's me just being noobish in general. Considering my mistake, 15 actually isn't too bad. I wonder how it fares one-handed. Nice cheeky keyhole there. Did you see it? Did you see it? No, never a fan of that flip edge case, and a V-perm to finish us off. Decent. Also ending with an 8-8 that Uncle Ting Man really loves. Yo, that's actually pretty good. I think I will use this in my upcoming competition. I have never been brave enough to go past the 12. The 11 I've used tons in competitions and I just know what it feels like. It is stable. So many people have used it and broken records with it. We just know the 11 works. The 12 with Maglev technology is, you know, there's some unknowns there, but people are still doing well with it. It's a bit of an adjustment to get used to it. But the 13, I honestly do think too many unknowns. It's such a cool but unique sort of like turning style, I think, that you need to get used to it. But the FX, it actually feels like a bit of a 12.5. I don't know. Its price certainly sits in that range, right? It's in the middle. But would I recommend it given, you know, the 20 cubes that we can now currently buy? I guess it's time for the final verdict. I told you at the start, after going through all these cubes, I was going to reveal my choices for the best budget, mid-range, and premium level cubes. And here we are, 16 cube station cards later, and 10 credit cards later, ready to make that verdict. Of course, before I reveal my final verdict, huge thank you Daily Puzzles for making this video possible. All of the prices that you saw here were pre-discount, by the way. And so this $70 cube, for example, you're only going to pay, what, 60 something dollars with the Tingman discount code. It's pretty sweet. Also, setting this up, it just occurred to me that I only have 19 cubes here. I have no idea why I was so sure it was 20. I counted it a few times, but I did show the Monster Go cube at one point. Does that count? Is this 20 now? So here we go. Oh, did you notice that I put it in like chronological order? I even color coded it, right? How cool is that? These are like 2018, 2019 cubes. These are the older cubes. The blue ones were all 2020 cubes. The green ones are 2021 cubes, and these are 2022. Actually, 2023. Yeah, the FX gets a league of its own. So, best budget cube goes to the 35M standard. Yep, you can save $3 for the lite, but for $3 extra and being able to adjust magnets, I think this is worth it. It's pretty crazy that $27 is considered budget, but we are talking about GAN here. So if I may, I actually want to choose a second budget cube. This sounds very weird to say, but I actually think the 11M Duo is also a really, definitely better budget cube. I know $37 ain't cheap, but hey, compared to 84, this is budget. So if you can afford it, but you still don't want to pay too much, the 11M Duo to me is the way to go. Those are my budget choices. But how about mid-range? That's a pretty easy choice for me. The best mid-range cube out of all of these that you can get today is the 11M Pro. There's the matte version and, oh, the soft version. That's my missing 12th cube. Here it is. Hey. Okay, we did have 20 cubes. This soft version, also the UV version, are variants that you can get, but I think once you get these textured variants of the 11M Pro, it's no longer mid-range. You're now spending quite a bit more, so the matte version on its own would be my mid-range choice. But since I did this with budget, I'm gonna do it again with the mid-range and pick a second mid-range, and it's a 12M Leap. This guy is leaps and bounds, well, sort of leaps and bounds compared to 11M Pro, with those longer core magnets and some of the improvements under the hood. I think for $5 more, it makes sense. I also don't know how much longer they're going to be selling the 11s because they've been out for a little while now. But yeah, these are my two mid-range choices. If you just want to go for safe, reliable GAN performance, you cannot go wrong with these cubes. And finally, the premium. If you have money to spend, but you don't want to break the bank, I don't think I can recommend the most expensive cubes that are out there right now, but I can recommend the 12 UV. Why not? If you've got money to spend, why not splurge? Get this really nice UV coating with the 12 Maglev UV. And since I was very surprised by it. The 13 FX. Honestly, this has really surprised me. I'm gonna have to put this through the rounds and, you know, do a competition with it. I'm pretty sure, given that I've done hundreds of solves in a competition now, I've used almost all of these cubes here. I mean, maybe not this guy, but I've used almost all of these like in competition. This is a big question mark, but I think it has a lot of potential. So no, I don't think we need to get up to the $80 range. We can get around the $70 range, which is a lot of money. Again, the Tingman discount code will help. One more time for the people at the back. Tingman's premium top of the range choice. Don't go over 70 bucks. Tingman's mid-range choice. You really can't go wrong with these cubes in a competition or just at home in those big cubing sessions. And finally, my budget choice. I would still happily use these cubes, probably more so the Duo, because the 356 is getting a little bit old. But what do you think? Let me know down in the comments your thoughts about these cubes if you have experience with them. And if this super long video was enough for you, you want even more information, say on the texture differences between the 11Ms, the difference between this and the Air and the Duo, or the 356 standard and light, I've got all those videos that you can watch here as well, because I am a GAN fanboy and I'm proud of it.